Dear students, today I am here with you, and this day I will try to explain a question which has been taken from your syllabus, prescribed syllabus for JPSC mains examination, and it has been taken from your paper number 5th, that is paper number 5. I am going to bring a question. I will try to explain its explanation also. So I request all of you to please pay attention so that you can comprehend my explanation well. And this is a very probable question for your examination, coming examination. So let's see what type of question it is and what it demands. The question is here. This is related to new economic reforms, liberalization, privatization and globalization. That is, I am going to talk about the paper number 5th. The question is, has the Indian governmental system responded adequately to the demands of liberalization, privatization and globalization started in a year of 1991? What can the government to be the responsive on this important change? This is your question. This can be asked in a long answer type, but before explaining, before moving towards your script, some sort of discipline is required while solving this type of question. Very first, you have to give a concrete introduction about the basic terminology, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. Later, you have to develop some approaches. So approaches is necessary to write, then only you are allowed to express your views regarding this question. So let's see. Very first, I will try to present an introduction about this terminology. So you know very well that in the year of 1991, India introduced a set of economic policies known as LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization, to revamp the country's stagnant economy. And the LPG policies aim to liberalize the economy, promotes private sector participation, and not only this, and integrate India's with a global economy also. The policies brought about significant changes in the increased foreign investment also. Not only investment, trade and technology transfer also. However, the policies also faced some sort of criticism and exacerbating income inequality and neglecting social welfare concerns. So this should be your introduction. Now the question is, what sort of approaches is required to solve this question? So some sort of approaches, that is, for the very first step, you have to provide a brief overview of LPG policies initiated in India in 1991. Then you have to draft your body, that is the answer, body of this question or answer. The first of all, you have to discuss the government response to the demand of LPG, including measures taken for LPG. Then the second approach, you have to analyze the effectiveness of the government response to LPG, and you have to give the examples also and data to support your argument. It is necessary to place your data also. In the third approach, you have to examine the persisting challenges in implementing LPG, such as the regularity bottlenecks, infrastructure constraints and the income inequality. Then after, you have to, that I am going to just give you the skeleton of how to develop your answer. Then after, you have to suggest some possible measures, and at last you have to write the effective conclusion. This is the way of you presenting the discipline of this question, that explanation. So let's see. After convincing it, I am trying to give your answer. The common reforms in 1991 LPG not only affected our economy, but also affected the way we live in dramatic ways. You start your statement like this: we live in a dramatic ways. there have been mixed responses from the government toward the LPG. So some sort of, what sort of mixed response you have to classify, you have to elaborate it. In the next paragraph you write the LPG reforms were instrumental in dismantling the license and the quota raj. Okay, it is clear that the LPG reforms were instrumental in dismantling the license and quota raj. Government rolled back from a number of business and allowed private partners or players to fill the void. This was the need of that time. So the LPG was introduced. This increased efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery. The present philosophy is that the government has no business and to be in business. This is the main philosophy of the present time. After that you write however, the license and the quota raj hasn't been fully eliminated and is implied by the India's poor ranking in ease of doing business index. So this should be your first paragraph, the first explanation. After the second paragraph, what you deliver, you are writing now that despite political protest and the lock jams over the issue of privatization, the government of the day has responded adequately against the political disruptions and was able to privatize several key industries. You know that in these days several key industries are being privatized day by day. So you have to mention their names also. This has allowed incoming of best practices from private sector, has improved their functioning. After that you write, the scholars have argued that the pace of the privatization has been very slow and also that the government is stepped back only from 6 public sector units. Still government has a majority share in several key sector of economy, example bank and etc. Although they are also being privatized one by one, you know the real fact about this fact. After the second paragraph you write, for a sharply divided country like India, differentiated across income, region, caste and gender and other social identities, government could not set universal and homogeneous goal for all. You are writing now. And despite the reforms, the poor nearly, you know the percentage of the poor which is nearly 3/4 of the Indian population, continue to be not only poor but also deprived of basic amenities. What sort of amenities? They are they are not capable to consume the potable drinking water, sanitation, toilet facilities, electricity, road, irrigation and housing. After that you write since independence, it is a hard fact about the about the poor sector, the poor people. So an explanation for this, a failure of jobless growth also. So thus the government has not been able to bridge the widening gap between the rich and poor. This is a lacuna, this may be a error of government policies that we are not in a condition to minimize the gap between these two sectors of society. In the next paragraph you write that in the wake of globalization, India had keenly adopted the international best practices and have been trying to implement them in a contextual realities. So you have to be approach your presenters should be the optimistic approach, so that the examiner easily convince with your performance. Implement them in a conceptual realities. Later you write the Indian economy has opened up to global economy and several trade agreements have been successfully negotiated at a bilateral and multilateral forms. So one by one you have to apply, and your words, the chosen words should be a very concrete, so that you can convince very easily. After that you write, in this context, government shall focus, the government can focus some sort of following changes. So what the question as per the demand suggest the possible measures. So these are the possible measures. So in this context, the government shall focus the following changes. What sort of changes? Improving ease of doing business by ushering doing business by ushering in economic reforms such as the insolvency and bankruptcy code and GST, etc. The second measures, adopt policies which are predictable as it creates confidence within the private player. So that sort of policies should be adopted so that the creates the confidence within the private players also. Then only the LPGs would be the really fruitful. The third measures, the adequate safety nets should be put in the place for the weaker section. So for the betterment of the weaker section, it is necessary to provide and to adequate safety measures also. Next, focus should be ever inclusive development rather than merely economic growth. It is necessary to focus should be over the inclusive development rather than the merely economic growth. These are the measures. After that you write, long-term vision as well as the short-term goals should be developed with clear roadmap to achieve them. So these are the measures. These are the measures for the strengthening the LPG policy. After that you write, now the next suggestion, the factors that have led to imbalanced development across sector of the economy should be addressed, such as in example, the agriculture should not be suffer while services reap all the success. So these are the measures. Next measures, what we have to apply, investment across the sector should be holistic as resources are limited. You know that the resources are limited, but the investment across the sector should be holistic. Next paragraph you write, the creation of opportunities for skill development for the unemployment, for the employed specifically in terms of Skill India and Make in India policies, and the putting more focus on unorganized sector of the economy. So these are the main areas where government can work to minimize the gap between poor and rich. Not only this, you are moving toward them some sort of what with the effective conclusion. The emphasis needs to be given to employment generation, providing livelihood, means of economics, and increasing purchasing power to reduce absolute poverty level. So these are the main point. After the writing this much information, you may write an effective conclusion. The effective conclusion starts from here. The Indian government has made considerable progress in responding to the demands of LPG since 1991. However, there needs to be addressed persisting challenges and pursue further reforms to fully realize the potential benefits of LPG and ensure inclusive and the sustainable growth. So after writing such type of concrete information or the balanced explanation, your examiner can very easily comprehend about you that you have a thorough information regarding this topic. But there is a suggestion that you may apply data and examples also, which I couldn't add over there. Although I tried to went through this question as per the demand of this question. So it was my initiative for this for your betterment of your examination. I hope that you will appreciate my initiative. So very soon I will come with the next video so that you can promote yourself in a better position. Till then, keep watching and keep practicing. Thank you.